Okay, so now we're looking at two sample qualitative data, which the way this is interpreted in StatPowers for simple input is to put it into a contingency table where we have the two variables here, imagining that you've gone to, say, a bunch of different, I don't know, gardens, and you're looking at how many, um, uh, I guess you've got, I don't know, how would you interpret this? You've got um, different levels of calling them beets and carrots for the variables. So let's say you've got uh, three different kinds of beets and I don't know, four different kinds of carrots. And so you've collected data. Let's not go crazy on carrots. Let's have two kinds of carrots. Let's call them um, uh, let's call them healthy carrots and sick carrots. And for beets, you've got large, you've got medium, and you've got small. So you've gone to a bunch of gardens and you've looked and you've done a survey of their the status of the beets and the status of the carrots. So I'm just going to put in some numbers, just some silly numbers. Doesn't really matter for this presentation. I'm just going to go through the features. So you can build uh, whatever, put in the table, put in the values. Um, for contingency table, the features that StatPowers has, first of all, you can look at the marginals for the table. So you can look at it in a couple different ways. First off, the frequency marginals, which is just the sum of each row and the sum of each column. So this is telling you that the first row has 9, the second 9, the third 18, and then altogether there's 36. So you get sum and column totals. Those are called marginals. If you look at proportions, it's going to look at this all divided by the total sample size. So um, it looks like half of the beets were small, then a quarter of them were medium, and a quarter of them were large. And it looks like a third of the carrots are healthy, and 2/3 of them are sick. And so then you could look at row proportions, where it's really looking at just for each row, how is it the conditional proportion. So like each row adds up to 1, but the columns don't add up to anything in particular. And for column proportions, again, the columns are going to add up to 1. So you're looking at what proportion of the column each number is. Those can be helpful for looking at, if I'm saying, within the sick carrots, what proportion of sick carrots are medium sized? And you say, oh, it looks like 0.292. Remember, you can change the precision up here to different levels of precision if you're interested in doing that. So the marginals can be handy for getting some different, like looking at the data in slightly different ways. Then looking at bar charts. So you can look at bar charts in a couple of different ways. First off, there's an option whether or not to show the legend. It's a good idea. It's going to let's see, by default, it's going to pick uh, the the column variable is going to be horizontal. You can set to have stacked bars or not. And also you can set the bars to be proportions, which usually is only going to be useful if you also select to have stacked bars. So it's a way of, you can get different kinds of charts, turn on or off your legend, simple options, and then you can download it with the click of that. The Mosaic Plot is a funky little one. Let's open the Mosaic Plot and see. It's it's a little bit like a stacked bar chart, except the width of each of them is going to be proportional to the size. So in fact, the area that is green, or for each of these, for the small, medium, and large, is going to be kind of the total square footage, the area is proportional to the total number of each of those. So the Mosaic Plot, it captures the same data as the frequency table, the contingency table. It just displays it completely visually. So it's a little bit more informative than the stacked bar chart in some ways, but it also doesn't include the frequency. So I can't tell you exactly how many healthy carrots are, how many carrots were healthy and beets were small. And I think that later on I'll add labels to the axes, because this is not, it's not helpful to know. You want to say this is carrots and that's beets. I'll add that later.